Jesus doesn't allow the shame to hide. He goes after it. Jesus scandalously sees the beloved one. He's not ashamed. He doesn't leave him as an ashamed one. He sees the beloved one. And finally, those who are encountered by Jesus, they're set free as ambassadors of God's love and grace.
For those of us here, and I think all of us here, are leaders and are missionaries and are ministers in our own context. For us to acknowledge our shame and to allow the Spirit to search and know us, and to engage with the reality of what that shame does to us with our unworthiness, I'm convinced that this actually creates space for the Spirit to work, and I'm convinced that it sets us free to better minister.
The news about shame is far worse than you know. You think it's bad? It's worse. But the news about shame is also far better than you can imagine. And this is where Jesus gets involved. Jesus is not just making factual declarations of who he is. He's also being terribly vulnerable. He's revealing things about who he is, just telling the truth about his personhood in a world in which to do so is potentially going to create trouble, and it did. What's so powerful about this, though, is that it didn't stop the story. Jesus came into the world naked, he leaves the world naked, and in his tomb, God comes to get him. Who's coming to get you? By whom are you so well known, such that, like Jesus coming to find us, and God the Father coming to find Jesus in his tomb, is in a position to find you such that in your shame, in your vulnerability, you are given the freedom and the energy to co-create with God a new world of goodness and beauty and joy. If you couldn't be ashamed, if it were not possible, if I could wave my shrink-o-matic wand and it would be impossible for you to be inappropriately ashamed, what would you create? What risk would you take? What conversation would you have? What relationships cross-culturally would you develop? What worlds of goodness and beauty and joy would you, with the Holy Trinity, be co-creating as we practice for heaven? There is only one way to do this. It is to be naked and unashamed. It is to be known. Remembering that knowing is crucially important. All in the service of developing a world in which God comes to live with us in his and our fullness. No matter where you find yourself this day, in Jesus, God has come to find you. He will not let you go, as together we look forward to the world of a new heaven and new earth, a world of goodness and beauty and joy. Thanks be to God.